First of all, hello everyone. It's a fireside chat. I don't see a fireside. Um, with Byron Storm, I think it's mandatory, but we'll go ahead. It's my pleasure to introduce you. You were introduced, but I will do it again. To introduce Bob Flores, former CTO of the CIA, and one of the leading voices in the intersection of cybersecurity, intelligence, and emerging technology. And after 3 decades at the agency, Bob now advises global organizations as the founder and CTO of Applicology. Well, your experience in securing complex systems and building governance for advanced technology makes you perfect to guide this conversation. I'm Avivit Kotler. I'm the CISO and DPO of Clalit Health Services. That's why this conversation will go also in a clinical direction. So that's for my benefit. But I'm sure that Bob's answer will transcend sectors. Hello, Manny. So Bob, thank you for joining us. You secured national systems for decades. And now healthcare is entering the same world. But our governance frameworks, our security practices are staggering behind, unfortunately. I want us to explore what national health system can learn from intelligence organizations about building governance and securing data integrity, model integrity, and public trust. So we'll start with the foundation. What lessons about governance and security should national systems borrow from the intelligence community when it comes to protecting sensitive data and AI models for manipulation?
Yeah, so the number one thing I think is to build in security by design, everything you do, whether that's just a policy that you're creating, or it might be a product that you're creating. And you know, when we, and I say we because everybody in this room had a hand in it in one way or another, even if they don't know they did, when we created what the internet is today, we didn't think about security because we thought, well, this is a great thing. It's all about connectivity, and why would anybody try to subvert this? And boy, were we stupid, right? So we now know better, and so security by design is absolutely important. It's paramount. This is what we did in the intelligence community. There was never a time that I sat around with a group of developers when we did not have a security person in the room. They were always there. Not there to say, no, you can't do that. They were there to say, here's the way you need to do that and to be secure. And that's vitally important. And so especially in the medical community with all the devices and you know, the whole Internet of Things stuff, think of a pacemaker in somebody's heart.
Oh, yeah.
You know, what kind of security is built into a pacemaker? Not much. And so it needs to be, though, and it can be, especially today, because everything's been miniaturized, and it's from a manufacturing standpoint, it's much easier to do today than it was, say, 20 years ago.
Okay, thank you. So basically, security by design is relevant also for AI and
also relevant for AI. So all the core things that you think about in any kind of a framework. So if you look at NIST or you look at ISO, it doesn't matter. Pick your favorite framework. Things like governance, vitally important. You know, we don't call it this in the development world, but guardrails are very important. And so these things all have to be taken into account as we're going forward and building these AI systems.
So well, that leads me exactly to my next question. And we try to put in as much questions as we can, if time allows. So medical AI models are only as trustworthy as the process that govern the deployment. So from your perspective, what governance controls, technical controls can you recommend to actually prevent data poisoning, model tampering, in AI training pipelines?
So it's, data poisoning isn't just for AI. Data poisoning has been around for a long time. And, in the intelligence community, I don't care whether it's ours or Israel's or China's for that matter. Data is the important thing. It's all driven by data. And if you're making decisions based on bad data, then you're making bad decisions. And so the same thing is absolutely true with AI. So what you have to do is you have to maintain control of the data, if you will. Don't have that data be accessed by people that don't need to access the data. So we talk about least privilege principles when we talk about network accesses and things like that. The same thing is true of data. And so only allow access to the data where it's absolutely important. And along with data and along with governance of data comes privacy of data as well. And so the other thing you have to consider is, and this is a lot of times based on the rules of the country in which you live, some are much more liberal than others, is anonymizing that data when it makes sense, and only allowing the AI system to look at the data that's absolutely necessary to do the job it was designed to do. There's a lot of people, what they do is they say, well, we'll just throw all the data in the world at it and it'll find what it needs to find. That's true.
Yeah.
But it also then gives it an opportunity to either go rogue itself or for a hacker to exploit it, knowing that, hey, it's got access to all this data it doesn't really need to have access to.
So data is the key. And I also have to say that you make me more assured in my job, because it seems that the basics are still the same basics.
It's all the same basics.
Yeah. Okay. Great. So I don't have to transfer to do some other thing with AI coming. So and you talked about privacy. So that leads me directly to the next question. And I think that's something more political, but I would like to know your opinion. National health system need large-scale analytics during crises like pandemics. You remember COVID?
Mm-hmm.
And well, that raises enormous privacy issues. And what should governments do? What kind of frameworks can they align with to balance population analytics with individual privacy? What do you say about that?
Yeah, so there's some emerging frameworks to deal with this, and I don't remember the nomenclature behind them all, but this is a concern all over the world, actually, and I think that it goes back to what I said just a couple of seconds ago, that anonymization is vitally important here, and that doesn't mean just taking the name out. It means taking all identifying features out of whatever it is, because, an AI system, especially because it can cull through mounds of data much faster than you can or I can, it can grab things that you thought were innocuous, but they're not. And so you have to be very, very disciplined about how you remove the elements from the data that, are just not necessary to be there to accomplish what you're trying to accomplish, which is trying to identify trends and when we, COVID, for example, when we reacted to it this way, did it make a difference or did it not make a difference?
Yeah.
And what can we learn from that for the future? Now, I will tell you that a huge challenge there is educating the people that you're actually doing that. Convincing the people that you're actually anonymizing the data, because they're deathly
skeptical.
afraid. You're just giving them a story, and no, you're not really anonymizing that data. And so, and I don't. There's no silver bullet there. It takes a lot of education.
Yeah. So we have to be transparent with our population regarding that. So during COVID, I think that we handled that. Sorry, 5 minutes. Okay, I'll try to enter a few quick questions. So I think that a very important one is that a critical part of making sure that leaders don't blindly follow AI outputs is also governance. How do you recommend building not a framework, but how do you train leaders to challenge AI recommendations? I would not like, not my prime minister and not my doctor, to ask ChatGPT what's the best next move.
Actually, I'm not so opposed to that.
Okay.
I think, and I actually do a lot of talks with in the medical community on how to properly use AI. But I think that again, it comes down to an educational thing, and the challenge you have with education among the medical community is they spent 20 years of their life getting educated, okay, and sometimes more.
Yeah.
And now you're telling them, wait, I want you to come back into the classroom and learn this other thing again. And they say, well, I don't have time for that. I don't want to do that. So there's a challenge there in doing that. But you know what we do in the security world is that we say, well, if the business is attacked, what's the appropriate way to respond to that attack? And so over time, we've decided, well, it's not just the security people that have a role in this, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of people within the company. There's all these stakeholders. And so how do we do that? We do tabletop exercises, right?
Oh,
And it's like pulling teeth, getting these people to come to the tabletop exercise. But you get the CEO to say, yeah, you're going to do this.
yeah.
Then you do it. And I think you have to do the same kind of thing. Now, they can be virtual exercises.
Yeah.
But what you do is you throw out these different scenarios to them, and it's almost like teaching employees how to identify phishing.
Okay.
Okay, you throw stuff at them and show them what's good, what's bad, how to identify it, and so on. And now I will say that as time marches on, this is going to become much more difficult. And the challenge for us hope everybody in here falls into this category, on the good side, is that we have to try to stay one step ahead and have our AI counter their AI, and let AI help us decide what's authentic and what's not. So
Okay. So basically, it's down to the human that we agree upon.
yeah, you always have to have a human in the loop.
Yeah. Okay. But that's a great recommendation. I will talk to my CEO about it. Do you have time for the last question? Yeah. Okay. Great. So I have one. If Bibi will call tomorrow and asks you the top 3 recommendations you have for him regarding AI governance, what would you say?
Well, so, and this is not in order of importance, but one is to don't forget that at the end of the day, AI is driven by human beings, and it's just a bunch of mathematics is all it is, and that is processed in a very, very fast way by compute infrastructures. And so don't take the human out of the loop. So don't try to automate the automation of AI. And so that's one thing. The other is that you've got to have guardrails around this stuff, and those are going to depend on what business you're in, what your country is, and all that sort of thing. So not everybody's guardrails are right for the next person, but you have to have these things only do the job they're intended to do. And the other thing is to secure your data that's going to be used to drive these AI systems, and make sure you understand the provenance of that data, where's it all coming from, and it's only accessible by those who need to access it. And when I say those, I mean not only people, but the AI systems.
Okay, well, that's great tips. Well, Bob, thank you.
You're welcome.
I think that what we heard today, that securing AI is like securing, it's like cybersecurity.
Yeah.
Same measures. But I think that's something that we are all learning, also our management, is that it's not an IT issue. It's a national issue. It's a governance issue. And we need strong governance to do AI correctly and responsibly.
That's right.
Bob, thank you very much.